Hello and welcome back. In this episode, we're going to talk about the main energetic focus that causes us the most peril in our life. I believe this is what all teachers of love, teachers of the frequency of love, are trying to describe. And so I'm going to do it in a little bit of a different narrative to try to help you understand what we're putting out, because giving is receiving. This is in the Bible, this is law of attraction, this is physics. So what we're really doing here is we are repeating a pattern of guilt and shame, which is the lowest frequency of creation. So meaning we're in the dark. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is we're blocking who we truly are. We're blocking our light. We're blocking it with guilt and shame patterns. So let me describe this. The false self is created in guilt. The true self is created in love. And this is the hardest thing to understand. Ego is a persona, a person we created to fit our culture. And it was created through guilt and shame. And we're continuing to force this patterning, and then we get mad because everybody's fake. Or he's just a narcissist. Ego, the false mask, the false self. Remember who you truly are. These are all concepts that float around. So let's just get to the way I'm going to spark it, okay? Basically, if you say to a man, and I'm going to use this example because everybody I coach usually has issues with this, so hopefully this resonates with you. But if you have issues with a guy, let's say you're a lady and you have an issue with a man, what do you try to do? You build a case showing them what they should feel guilty about so that they change. You did A, B, C. This isn't acceptable. I need a better man. Do you see what you're doing? And let's just understand guilt and shame. We're trying to shame somebody or guilt them into doing better. And I'll use other examples too, but we're going to use this one just so you can understand. When you guilt a man, you are only going to get their false persona, their ego patterns as a result. Because that's how the ego is created, through guilt. You told me you don't like this about me. So now I create this false self that says, I don't do that. And then that false self can never change because guilt and shame only perpetuate the false self, because we don't want to see that we're bad. So we create illusions that we're good. And that illusion is what's triggering women. Because you can fight it all you want, but you're triggering that false ego belief system, which will only get you back their ego patterns. Let's use another example. You tell a kid, how dare you take the cookie out of the cookie jar? Well, my sister did it. I didn't do it. That pattern, as they get older, let's say that's a boy stealing the cookie, his mom is shaming him. And now he doesn't want to admit his guilt out of fear and shame, all lower emotions. And now the new pattern from those emotions, by the time we're adults, is solid. And this is what the Bible means by be renewed by the transformation of your mind. And you can be the proponent of that. You can choose to lovingly show somebody so you don't activate their ego. The ego patternings don't exist in the higher dimensions. Ego is a third dimension thing, fifth dimension of consciousness. We would never guilt and shame people. We would love them into doing better. But in the third dimension, we truly believe that if we tell people their wrongs and make them feel ashamed, that they'll be better. Such a conundrum. So how would that look? And trust me, I've been doing this for well over a decade, and I've helped many soulmates get into union, people get better jobs, get better in their current job, all these things from this one simple spark of understanding. If you can cultivate a better feeling in you, the unseen language of energy, you're going to submerge that person with higher dimensions, and then they are going to be able to see without activating the ego what you're saying. And that's the only way real change could happen, as we all, I think, know, whether we study psychology, astrology, spirituality, whatever we study of self-help, we can all agree the ego is the main culprit. But the ego was only formed to make us feel safe and in control. You took the cookie. No, I didn't. Safety. Denial. Now it's a pattern. Now it's a pattern of not taking accountability. And so if you're activating that pattern, and this is the principles of the universe right now, we had become unbalanced in more masculine energy. And now we're meant to get in balance of more of our feminine. And the best way I can help you understand this as it pertains to the unseen communication is preceding the seen communication and actions, meaning you're sending the guilt and shame energy and triggering them into their patterns, which will never allow accountability or change. And so to become in balance, you understand your inner energy, emotions, as the dictator, and then you get into that right energy, you align it with your words and actions, and the real change can happen. But nobody's taking ownership of that. I don't even really see this as being a main focus, which is bananas. But I guess it makes sense, because when you're living in a dominant masculine environment, culture, then there isn't going to be any focus here. It's going to seem foreign. It's going to seem like a dissonance. So as I always try to do on this channel, is just to spark something in you to get the resonance, which means just to get to the understanding that I got to do this internal work myself. I'm not allowing things, or I'm not loving others because I'm giving them a ticket to treat me bad. I'm doing it so I don't activate their ego, so they actually can treat me from that true soul place. And this is super critical for soulmates, because they reflect every little thing. There's no buffer. So the guilt is immediately felt because it's within them at the same time. And so you shift it to love, it's in them at the same time. And that's why they talk about the mirror. Yeah, so I hope this video helps you to understand the whole intent of this channel is always to help you get truly emotionally regulated so that you can be conscious creator of what you want. But if you're reacting still from your lower triggered emotions, you're never going to get there. You're looping because you're stuck in the ego patterns that you probably created when you were 3. Wild. So I hope this triggered something in you. Try it out. Try it out when you're triggered by your kids. Sit with it. Sit with it until you can get to unconditional love. I mean, no matter what they do, I love them. Not concept-wise, but actual energy. And when you are able to get to that better place and you approach them with some real life solutions, which, by the way, there's no solution in the problem energy because you're just activating your ego and their ego. So it's only going to repeat those 3-year-old patterns that you created to feel safe. And so you will be able to find a solution in that energy and go speak to them. And then you will activate their safety mechanisms or their denials or their lack of accountability. And then they will choose differently. Yeah, the unseen language, the feminine principle, the unconscious, because we're not really conscious of this, but to leave duality, unconscious, conscious, and make them one to get to the higher levels of non-duality, you have to make the unconscious conscious, which is to make that emotional intelligence important. Make it the language that matters the most for now until you can get in balance. All right, so enough for this video, but I hope you understand guilt and shame as all the teachers of love had described it in a way that really resonates with you to help, constitute some immediate changes in your environment, in your life, and you start to feel better and you're more involved in cultivating your emotional states, not being dictated externally. And this really helps improve your life. All right, so until next time, take care.